tell you a little bit about MGIP. I wasn't going to do that, but I thought it might be useful. It's the first Category 1 institute of UNESCO in the Asia Pacific. Generous funding from the Indian government. So in many ways, it's bucking the trend which most of these kind of institutes are always funded by the so-called usual suspects in the West. And for the first time, a country like India has taken on the challenge and has actually established what I would call a first-class, world-class institute here in Delhi. What makes us very different is that we tend to really focus, and that's why I would say why we've been so actively involved in this particular initiative, because one always asks, why are you here? If you look at our mandate or the name, it's on education for sustainable development and peace. But if you look at this in terms of the group that we are looking at, they have a lot to teach us. I always say they have a lot to teach us, and in fact, we have a lot to learn from them. It's not the other way around. It's that we are wired differently from them. And unfortunately, the majority are wired differently. They are wired correctly, because after interacting with a lot of kids with difference learning, I think they have got the right attitude towards humanity. And so as an institute that's focusing on peace, sustainability, empathy, and compassion, we feel that this is a real rich laboratory for us to learn from them. So this is 17 goals that have been endorsed by 193 countries. For the first time, you have a full endorsement by the full members of the UN. And what makes it very different is that it's universal. And what it says is that ensure inclusive, equitable, quality education. There are a few more things, but these are the three key words for us: inclusive, equitable, and quality. And then the target by 2030, ensure that all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education, leading to relevant and effective learning outcomes. Data tells us 1 in every 6 to 1 in every 10, so that's the range, of us have some form of difference learning. So if you take India, you have approximately 140 million kids out of school now. And now, using the SDG, what the government is going to do is try to get this 140 back into school. Let's assume that they do that. But by default, 1 in 6 to 1 in 10, so that's 23 to 14 million kids, based on the present education system, will not achieve the literacy that they need, because the present education systems are not equipped to handle these kids. So we have set up ourselves for failure right from the very start, unless we address this particular group. Now, the British government, about 2 decades ago, under the chief scientist, Lord Beddington, he did a study because he was very concerned about mental health. Within that report, he had a section on dyslexia, difference learning. And they found that more than average, the population in the prisons all had dyslexia or some form of difference learning. And then the economic cost to the economy was huge. So you have a huge social and economic cost. But here's the interesting fact. On the average, these kids have a higher average IQ than the normal. What a waste of talent. We have a great pool of talent out there that we need to harvest. And this is why I'm really excited about initiatives like this. So this is why I think this is important, initiatives like this, where we bring together all the stakeholders, parents, educators, the medical profession, psychologists, educational psychologists, help parents work with educators and psychologists, neuroscientists. 2, institutionalize. That's important, screening and assessment and remediation. If you do nothing, huge social and economic costs. The second is, if we do something about it, we get a double whammy. And what is that double whammy? It improves the educational outcomes for all. Because those remediations for those kids actually have externalities for the normal kids, everybody's literacy skills go up, because those interventions are really what all kids should be having access to. Thank you very much.